warrior, poet, and general pain in Aurangzeb's royal neck, was captured by Mughal forces. He had been on the run. He had fought for years. He had humiliated the Mughal army more times than anyone cared to count. And now he was standing in front of Aurangzeb, in chains, in a jester's hat, with bells on it. The bells were Aurangzeb's idea, because when you capture a king, a man your entire army couldn't defeat for years, apparently the correct response is bells. What happened next was significantly worse than bells. This is Grim Tales. And today we are talking about Aurangzeb's Hall of Horrors. Let's set the scene. Aurangzeb Alamgir, which translates to Caesar of the World, because subtlety was not a Mughal value, ruled the Mughal Empire from 1658 to 1707, nearly 50 years on the throne. He ran the largest empire on earth at the time, 150 million subjects, more people than all of Europe combined. He was also famously pious. He sewed his own skull caps to earn money. He memorized the Quran. He slept on a mat. And yet, he imprisoned his own father. He had his brothers killed. He tortured and executed a Sikh guru, a Maratha king, and roughly anyone else who looked at him wrong. History is complicated. Aurangzeb is less so. The Arthashastra, ancient India's original rulebook for kings, had said that punishment should be fair, measured, and just. Aurangzeb read this and apparently thought, interesting. What if it wasn't, though? Let's look at some of his greatest hits. Back to our friend Sambhaji. After the camel parade, which again had bells, Aurangzeb gave Sambhaji a choice. Convert to Islam. Reveal the locations of the Maratha treasury, and your life will be spared. Sambhaji, who had been fighting the Mughals his entire adult life and had just been humiliated in front of 60,000 soldiers, reportedly laughed. So Aurangzeb tried a different approach. For 40 days, Mughal torturers worked on Sambhaji. His tongue was cut out, so he could not recite Islamic prayers even if he changed his mind. His eyes were gouged out with red-hot irons. One by one, his limbs were removed. Through all of it, contemporary accounts say Sambhaji never gave up the treasury locations, never converted, never begged. On the 11th of March, 1689, what remained of Chhatrapati Sambhaji was beheaded at Tulapur on the banks of the Bhima River. His body was thrown to dogs. Aurangzeb renamed the victory site Asadnagar to celebrate. History has a sense of humor. It just takes a while. If you committed a serious crime in the Mughal Empire, rebellion, tax evasion, being in the wrong place at the wrong time, you had a decent chance of meeting an elephant up close, very up close. Execution by elephant, known in Sanskrit as Gunga Rao, had been practiced across South and Southeast Asia for centuries. The Mughals didn't invent it. They just enthusiastically continued the tradition. The elephant could be trained to either execute quickly, one swift stomp, or slowly crushing limbs one at a time while the condemned was still very much conscious and processing what was happening to their afternoon. The choice was up to the mahout, the handler, who presumably had feelings about this job that historians haven't fully explored. Akbar used this method. Aurangzeb used this method. Multiple Mughal emperors considered this completely normal. The elephant, for the record, was considered sacred across Hindu traditions. The irony was apparently lost on everyone. In 1675, Aurangzeb issued a decree in Kashmir, convert to Islam or face the consequences. A group of Hindu Brahmins, not knowing where else to turn, went to Guru Tegh Bahadur, the 9th Sikh guru, and asked for help. The guru went to Delhi to plead their case before Aurangzeb. This was, from a survival standpoint, not a great decision. Aurangzeb had Guru Tegh Bahadur arrested, along with 3 of his companions, Bhai Mati, Bhai Sati Das, and Bhai Dayala. He then proceeded to execute the companions first in front of the guru as a demonstration of what awaited him. Bhai Mati Das was strapped upright between 2 posts. A massive saw was placed at the top of his head. He was sawn in half, vertically, while reciting prayers. Bhai Sati Das was wrapped in cotton and set on fire. Bhai Dayala was boiled alive in a pot of water. Guru Tegh Bahadur watched all three and still refused to convert. He was beheaded at Chandni Chowk, Delhi on 24 November 1675. The site is now Gurdwara Sisganj Sahib, one of the most visited Sikh shrines in India. Aurangzeb wanted to erase a faith. He created a martyr instead. Again, history has opinions. Here is something Mughal historians do not lead with in tour guides. Blinding was practically a family tradition. Shah Jahan, yes, the man who built the Taj Mahal for love, ordered the blinding of his own brother Shahryar after defeating him for the throne. Aurangzeb then blinded his father's allies when he took power. Humayun had people blinded. The logic was practical, in a deeply horrible way. A blinded prince couldn't lead an army, couldn't inspire troops, couldn't claim the throne. You weren't killing him. You were just making him politically useless, very efficient, deeply evil, somehow considered merciful by Mughal standards. Aurangzeb's own brother, Dara Shikoh, the heir apparent, the man Aurangzeb overthrew to take the throne, was marched through Delhi in chains on a filthy elephant before being executed. Not blinded first. Aurangzeb wanted Delhi to see his face clearly so they would know he was finished. The city wept. Aurangzeb did not. The Arthashastra, written around 300 BCE by the strategist Kautilya, was essentially ancient India's government operations manual. It covered taxes, foreign policy, espionage, and a very detailed chapter on approved torture methods for extracting confessions. The list included cane strokes, whiplashes, thigh binding, slaps, sun exposure, and, this is a real entry, scorpion bites. The Arthashastra had rules, though. A prisoner could only be tortured on alternate days, one type of punishment at a time. Pregnant women were exempt, so there was a system, a bureaucratic scorpion-based system. The British, who arrived later, added their own contribution to India's punishment history. Blowing from a gun, tying the condemned to the muzzle of a cannon and firing. Used extensively during the 1857 uprising. One observer reported a head was blown 50 feet into the air. The rest was essentially vaporized. The British called it humane because it was quick. We'll let you sit with that. Aurangzeb died in 1707 at the age of 88. He had ruled for 49 years. He had expanded the Mughal Empire to its greatest ever size, and in his final letters, which historians still have, he wrote something remarkable. He wrote, "I entirely lacked in rulership and protecting the people. My precious life has passed in vain." The man who had sawn people in half, crushed men with elephants, executed gurus, paraded kings in jester hats, died afraid that God was displeased with him. The Maratha Empire, by the way, outlasted the Mughal Empire by over a century. Sambhaji's descendants eventually controlled most of the subcontinent. Aurangzeb spent 49 years trying to break India into submission. India filed that under, not today. That's it for today's episode of Grim Tales. If you learned something, felt something, or are now deeply concerned about the concept of state power, congratulations. That's exactly what was supposed to happen. Next week, the Roman Empire's most creative ways to make people regret entering politics. Spoiler, it involved a sack, some animals, and the Tiber River. Subscribe. Leave a comment with what history rabbit hole you'd like us to go down next. And if you've made it this far, you're exactly the kind of person this channel was made for.